Okay,
Please pass it out.
everybody ready? Let's call the November 26, 2012 Finance Advisory and Audit Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Okay, Chair Long Chu,
Here.
Vice Chair Elise Ryan. Here. Committee Member Cheryl Miller. Here. And Committee Member Virginia Sanders. Here. Also present Town Manager Mark Cutney.
Here.
Bill Underwood, Managing Partner of Underwood Management. And Denise Rodriguez, Town Office Coordinator.
Okay.
And we got public, Ms. Phil Neal.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's have the approval of agenda. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, a motion by Cheryl, second by Liz. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. I guess, so we approve as a consent or we have to pull it for discussion? Minutes.
You would have to pull it for discussion.
Okay. So item 2A, minutes for September 11, 2012 minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minute, September 11?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Cheryl, second by Virginia. Discussion? No discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, this is really easy to do. This is not on, is it? Okay. The second minutes of the meeting, July 20,
October 15th.
October 15. Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Liz, second by Virginia. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So motion done, motion done. New business. Approval of 2013 October financial statement. Budget versus actual. Okay.
Can I apologize, Mr. Chair, for providing the wrong bank statement before we go too far?
But we got the right one
That's
now.
good.
Yeah,
Just
just
take
a
one.
copy of the correct one.
It's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we start with
Guys,
the,
you notice?
I thought this is more colorful than mine. Mine's black and white. We have a cheap machine. And yours is nicer.
It is.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager, you want to walk through this with us?
Well, not really. I mean, if you have any questions?
There are, if you look at some of the supplementary materials, you'll
Yeah.
notice some highlights. Those highlights were for revenues that will be accrued back to September. We're waiting until the end of this month to make sure we get all the account payable because there are expenses reflected that need to also go back to September. As soon as we get all of those wrapped up, then there'll be adjustments on the expenditure side. The revenue already does not reflect those revenues.
I do have a question.
Yes.
This is just a question, not any issue with the way it's reported or anything, but I see we had a fine of $300 in code enforcement, and what I'm not sure, there's been some discussion in the past about what ordinance we were operating under and who was supposed to pay that. And I'm assuming since we're levying this, that it's been cleared up, right?
Well, by Florida statute 162, it is appropriate to levy administrative fines. You may remember Todd McClendon recently was before town council, and he had over a $3,000 administrative fine that town council actually 3-2 voted to not have us go forward and file with the clerk of the court. The $300 money you're referring to dates back to a code matter with Pat Hastings, where she
Yeah.
actually had to pay $900 in administrative costs. And what we did is we allowed her to do it over 3 payments of $300.
Oh, okay. So how are you calculating the administrative costs? That's what I'm trying to.
Oh, Two and Taylor basically keeps a log of everything they do as
Oh.
it relates to a case.
Mhm.
Now granted, if they go out, for example, and do some inspections on a case, the case gets resolved, it doesn't go for a special magistrate, the town does have to eat that.
Yeah.
But if it goes to special magistrate and we start to have all the additional expenses, special magistrate fines, the respondent to be guilty, and then at that point, we can also enter in for a judgment on the administrative costs that were incurred by the town.
That's great.
Okay.
Thank you
Virginia?
for the input.
I have a question on financial activity report under contract service expenditures.
What page is that?
That is page 11 of 111. We have a late agenda. Land research management, the bottom right. Under budget, I see we have no dollar amount, and I believe that's because it's a cost recovery item. And my question is, there are times, I see in the billing, and we have one example in our agenda tonight, but when they attend the P&Z meetings or they attend the town council meetings, those are not cost recovery items, are they?
Oh, yeah, they could be, as long as they're related to a case.
So everything that they do then is cost recovery?
No, not everything they do. In fact, I will tell you that probably of all our consultants, Mr. Fleischman is one of the best in terms of giving the town a lot of pro bono service, if you will. He goes the extra mile, and he volunteers to do a lot of things that we're actually not paying him for. But when he's working on a case, whether it's Valley Crest, or whether it's a variance, or a site plan, everything, every hour he spends is charged to that particular item.
Okay, and the reason I ask this is because I see there's no dollar amount in the budget, but yet we'll see in his billing, there, and when we go through it, I'll get to the exact page, but, page 44 of 111, it says council meeting, and first reading, okay, and I see then this goes to
That was the PUD.
Simon's property rezoning, so therefore that's an example of why it's cost recovery there.
Mhm.
So, will we ever then, for this?
However, we do have some money budgeted in planning and zoning for potential.
Okay, that's where it's
Professional
budgeted.
costs, but that's not the same.
I see, okay, so that is another
That would
area,
be
and that is
for-
covered
yeah.
in the budget.
What that would be for is if council decides to come up with an assignment that wasn't determined prior to the budget, we have
So it's budgeted in
somewhere to
P&Z.
pay for it, yes.
All right, and then, I guess my other question on cost recovery is just a general question. The additional person we brought on, are we doing cost recovery for him, his
If it's
services?
applicable.
If it's applicable, but not always.
Well, it's kind of hard to do that with the manure permits.
Okay.
By the way, while you're on cost recovery, I think you all noticed that we did get the money from the community
Yay.
home. I'm not sure, I
That was
don't know
nice.
if I saw it there or not, I have to double check,
I
but
don't know, I didn't.
it might not be reflected yet, but yes, we did. We got that one taken care of.
Any other questions for the budget presentation? I think we have four areas here. Budget residential, bank reconciliation, generation, and bank statement. Should be one by one. You any questions?
No, I'm just,
I'm looking for the balance sheet.
oh, yeah.
23.
Okay. It's not reflected.
Yeah.
So you got it this month then?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably November. Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I think it was a
Um,
big one.
It might have been like, what, the first or second of the month?
And Palm Beach State is a negative, and what's the status on that?
That one, we have to contact them and talk to them about that.
Okay. And then we have Day, which we know,
Yeah, Day is kind of,
well, the lesson learned is get the money up front before they make their presentation.
yeah.
I mean, that's it, you know. I know the water control district got stuck for a long time on one of the medical building over there. They were supposed to pay, and, you know, it's actually money that you laid out, you know, that the town had paid. So it needs to be recovered. Okay. You know, we talked about possibly looking at coming up with a schedule.
Do ordinance.
Yeah, we have to do an ordinance here.
Yeah.
That would be better though, because that would force us to not allow any to slip into arrears like, with this balance sheet, you see the FMM1, which just received its approval of council last week. With the latest postings, they have now gone into the red. So I'm gonna have to write the doctors a letter for that money, which is never a comfortable thing, because
No,
they
it's
go,
not.
whoa!
Yeah, right.
We have to get more money, you know, so.
Well, it's a lot of record keeping too,
Mhm.
and, you know, a lot of,
The process we envision is that as we talk, we do it at every stage, and it doesn't move forward
right,
until
until they.
we're rest assured we're in the black. Or we have-
Yeah, and, I mean, I looked at Palm Beach County streets, and they're huge for some of this stuff, you know. So should we make a recommendation, you know, at some point, make it an agenda item for the finance committee and talk about an ordinance, and then take it to the council, or?
We have it on our priorities list with council.
Oh, you do?
It's there.
It's already there.
It's there, okay.
We've been pushing it. It's just, you know, there's always seems to be other priorities that creep ahead of it.
Yeah.
We don't know how that occurs.
Oh, and I believe on the traffic light that's going in on State Road 7, I believe the county's picking up 150,000 of that tab. That's only because there's a charter school going in there.
They're picking it up because of the charter school?
Oh, I believe the increased traffic. I don't know the reason why they're picking it up. I'm sure there were negotiations.
State Road 7 and what?
I believe it's up at Palomino Drive.
Something's going in there?
I believe I will get the Palm Beach
Where's
Post
it?
article.
The Palomino is between Stribling and
I believe the charter school is up in that area and the
Yes.
traffic lights going in Palm Beach County. At the last article I read, agreed to 150,000 of the cost.
wow, because there's a, if I'm not mistaken, that there's an elementary school over, you know, farther. in the
Well, I
opposite
know
direction,
it's-
but, you know, a little bit.
I know schools, I believe the reason was because of school.
Okay, any other questions on the
I-
financials?
Yeah, I just have one little quick one.
What page is it?
Page 2 of 13 of 111. It says for the account 513493, election expense, it's been moved, but I didn't quite see it unless it got switched over to this legal one that says new 515490.
That came from, where was it?
Election expense to legal
There isn't any,
advertising?
like, election.
Well, no, it said moved, and I didn't see any new
Well,
ones
where
that
does it
said,
say move? Oh, you're looking,
I'm looking at the budget versus actual. If you look under the executive total, if you look in the last account that says the financial.
CERT's been moved.
Certs.
Well, I know, I see CERT. I connected CERT together, but I didn't see where that election expense had been moved.
It's up in legislative,
Oh, it is?
512,493.
Well, then I don't. Okay, there it is. So it's just a matter of, it was just a
It's in-
switching
it's
as to
in
where it
the
was.
executive.
Right, it's
I didn't
really
say-
not an
It
executive.
didn't
Yeah.
jump out at me, so I didn't, I was like, hey, wait a minute.
It's a legislative.
As opposed to, yeah, as
thing.
opposed to a financial, it's more of a,
Or an executive, it's more of a political.
But it's still in.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
yeah, it's still in, I just didn't see where it had moved to.
Oh, okay.
I was
just-
wondering, I didn't see, when I looked, I didn't see it, I must have glazed right over it.
As I remember, I believe we reduced it a little bit based upon.
I mean, what we try to do is tell you in the budget and the council, here's where it was, and
where we're putting it.
Right.
We gotta put some, and I think actually in this book, you'll find the note there that may tell you that it went to that account.
And that's what I'm saying, going over it, I didn't spot it, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, they're missing one.
Under the Excel total, just see that you have a big item for the other services, which is a lot.
In fact, remember, Standish, if you look on page 14, the first line item, professional services, under planning is the 40,000 that you were talking about. Or-
I have a little arrow next to
What was the audit?
On page 13 of 111, under the Excel total, that very first top one, 512340, other services, what is that?
That's that.
It's a big one, why don't you
That's
name?
Underwood Management.
Well, that's me.
Why don't you say it there? Can we say it?
Well,
I think that's an important item, don't say other.
the uniform accounting system, it calls it other services. I would call ourselves professional services.
We don't have that? We
Pardon?
don't have that item? I mean, that category called professional services?
There is one called professional services. We don't qualify according to the uniform accounting system. We're trying to use that system, and the best I can do is, in here you'll see it says Underwood Management Services in the detail.
And the only way I guess we can trace that is on page 22 of 111, is you'll see that same dollar amount. And there, that's where we'll find the Underwood, page 22 of 111. That's where we'll see the that's the only reference to Underwood Management Services, and then probably, so we have to,
It's in the ledger, it's in,
yeah.
yeah.
It's just like the P and Z, the example that Mark just gave, where that P and Z for 7 on page 14 of 111, that professional service fee on 515-310, that 7,329, or that 40,000 budget, that's all P and Z is what you're saying?
And that's set aside for any professional services.
Oh, so that 515-310 is set aside, the 40,000 is set aside for any other professional services.
So council has some leeway, if during the year, something comes up that they feel needs to be studied, or something needs to be done, we can tap that account that's in the planning and zoning.
And is this insurance premium of 12,000 a one-time thing?
Every year.
Yeah, that's
That's one
making
time
sure
thing
we
every
haven't
year.
increased our premium.
It's a one-time thing every year.
Annual claims.
And that could be adjusted slightly depending on workers' comp audit. When they come in and finish.
Any other questions?
How do we have workers' comp?
Yeah,
Oh, you don't know. Okay, are you ready?
yeah.
According to statute, every contract that the town has, I provide workers' comp to my employees.
Right.
They look at every contract and they go, workers' comp, not workers' comp. And if there's not workers' comp shown, we get hit with a premium.
Aren't we required to show where?
The four League of Cities through the insurance.
So the League of Cities is hitting us with workers' comp?
Yeah,
How do we avoid that?
you don't.
Make sure
Oh,
all
well,
your contractors-
you do.
Make
You
sure all your
gotta,
contractors have workman's
But
comp.
they do have workers'.
we do, but.
Yeah, but not all the haulers that come in,
Right,
or
you
any
gotta-
other
everybody-
person that comes in.
Everybody
Now-
you do business with.
Yes, but doesn't that exempt, would you then get hit if you can prove that the person you've hired is exempt because of, they don't qualify? Because there's certain, a person of one is exempt from workman's comp.
Well,
I don't think they're
can
going
be
to look at
exempt.
it that way.
But that's how workman comp.
That's
Well,
how
I
workman's
understand.
comp works.
I understand. We'll check it. The last time I worked with them, because I get in fights with them on a regular basis over classifications of employees. I tell them that they don't go there. Is the liability exists even for the one that's exempt?
I
The
know,
town's still liable.
religious buildings or religious, like churches and whatnot, they won't accept it, the exempt. Either you have it or you don't.
And I'm not gonna swear by it, but I believe that they look at the contract amount, they look to see if you've got insurance, you don't have it, they're gonna hit you with a premium. Now, it's not too much, but they're gonna hit you with a little premium audit when they do their review. We think we put enough money in there to cover it, but in the event, when they come back. I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's just the law.
That covers interesting.
Who falls in the year, it's just like the ethics.
Yes. Everybody here did their ethics.
I was just saying to Bill, it's like there's, the town falls into a lot of gray areas because it's not traditional from the standpoint of having its own employees. And when the Ethics Commission wanted everybody to renew their, looking at the video and everything, we questioned whether we had to do it because technically we're a private company and not town employees, and they said everybody.
And including contractors. So anybody you contract with has to go through it.
No, that was a big deal, it wasn't our big deal, but.
So we're all up to speed?
I think you guys are, but we better check that, right, Denise?
The
All of them
last
share.
thing I want to do is the last minute go, nope, sorry, not me, out.
All of them are
You
up
share?
to date. Yeah, I verified that last month,
Okay.
because it also came up in last month's meeting. Good.
We've had some people with issues about doing it.
Don't say the word.
I did mine in April.
I forgot when I did my.
I do look it up. Yeah, but you're all up to date.
We did so many times. I lost track. Even,
And for which organization?
Even group required, even ethics.
How many
Yeah, you would think that, don't you, you gotta take a 4-hour ethics once a year, yeah.
He
Twice.
should be
Twice.
exempt.
Once
Every other year.
I
You would
gotta
think
take
that
6
would
every
apply
year.
to something.
Yeah, and then we also have our own ethics,
Mhm.
and then we have the IG ethics. I don't even know which one I took. Okay, Virginia, you have some more questions? Eunice? No? Okay, what about bank reconciliation, general ledger, and bank statement? Any questions?
No, that you got
No
the
question?
bank statement.
Not that we have the right one.
Okay.
Uh,
So,
I did before.
no more questions?
Question answered on the bank
Okay.
statement.
So, we have a motion to approve all the October financial.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
The second?
Virginia.
You mean that 2012, not 2013? You see under 5, on the general page, right? 5A approval of 2012 October financial, not 13. Okay,
Yes.
so that's correct. I said 13, but
We have been 3 years, 11, 12, 15.
Yeah, we're working in 13 fiscal year.
okay, do we have a motion to approve all the 4 items?
You got
We
it?
did.
Really?
Get the vote.
I motioned Virginia second, we're
Okay,
waiting for the vote.
okay.
And
So
then
that's
you
okay, the
got the year.
2013.
You corrected the year, yes, so we should be.
Okay,
redo-
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, new item. Review of planning and zoning invoices. Any, well, I guess we need a motion for people to discuss.
No,
We don't,
discuss
do we need to,
If we don't have any issues, we can just move on to the next one. We
okay,
don't approve these.
we don't approve it.
This is a FYI.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
okay.
information in case we have any, yeah.
Okay, any question, any comment?
No, this was just all, as Mark previously discussed, this is, all these invoices are billed out through cost recovery.
Yeah, he does a very good job in his billing. I can read his memo, you'll see what he's billing for.
Yeah, he does.
Actually, I feel they were correct. When consulting like this record, do you keep track of it? At least some of them, like you call, you mark down, just for your own reference.
You mean as far as like phone calls and things
Yeah,
like that?
or you need their help, like You can talk to lawyers sometimes, they put down the hours. Do you actually check it?
Well, I do look at I peruse the attorney's bill, but the attorney's bill is actually approved by the town council and the consent agenda.
I know, but what were the hours they sent it to you?
Well,
Do
I don't, basically, I make notations on meetings, on phone calls, I don't, because, he doesn't itemize it to that extent.
You feel comfortable with that?
Yes, I trust him. You see my signature there on that stamp, so that's.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna be good at this one?
Well,
What were you gonna say?
No, I worked with the city attorney one time, and he was a contract attorney, and I'd walk into his office.
With workman's comp.
No. My name would be announced, I've got the meeting, before I get in and sit down, he's doing this. I go, what are you doing? Clock's running. Before I even ask a question. And so then I learned, he goes, well, here's how it works. And I guess it makes sense. He's passed away now. I worked with him for years. He goes, here's what happens. 6 minutes for every phone call. You gotta stop what you're working on. You gotta train your thought. You gotta discuss, even if it's a short 30-second, 3 minutes to go back to where you were. 6 minutes is the minimum charge.
Just still for 1
Yeah.
hour. It's easy for him to.
That's why you get point
So
7,
make sure you
point
get
5,
your
you
6
know.
minutes worth?
Well, the question is, I don't think we want him doing the 6 minutes. I would be worried about the 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But he would sit there and he would wait till I left the office before he turned it
The
off.
secret is I do have a little clock and sometimes I get a phone call, I turn it on.
So we should.
And then-
Especially depending upon who it is, just to monitor on time.
So you should pretend you are angry, you.
You tell
I
them
mean, sometimes
your
it's a
time's
stop
up.
clock.
Well, if the call is going like 12, 15 minutes, we need to
Yeah.
end it. There's no
Uh-huh.
reason to keep.
They gotta come in and
Yeah,
pay.
yeah.
Then you
Yeah,
need to, yeah.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Okay,
I was trained well.
any question for the planning and zoning invoices? What about, under 5, ABC? Discussion related to
Yes.
Water Control District Road, interlocal agreement, reimbursement.
Yes. Yes.
I think we have a lot of pages on it.
Page 51.
That's cut and dry.
Carry on.
Page 51
Very
kicks it off.
simple, very simple.
I brought it forward for some direction from the FAAC where they would like us to go. I think my cover memorandum basically covered the issue that there were items submitted under, attested to be in one area of a contract. Then it appears as though they were modified and resubmitted under another contract. We did not pay under either, but I did not know if the FAAC would like us to do something with it, carry it forward.
Just don't pay it, we paid already.
We did not pay.
Then don't pay it.
No, they haven't paid it yet.
Then I guess,
I don't know if you wanted me to turn over the IG or the AG.
You can't turn it over to the IG.
it may be
No, we are.
it may be a honest mistake.
That would be nice, except for there were some there that were perfect,
Some that were what?
that were fine.
What are the options?
Well, the options are do nothing, kill it, instruct us not to pay it, and not to carry forward with any other action.
Doing nothing is not paying, right?
Right.
I don't think you could do any action.
I don't know what action you could take.
Yeah, just don't
I
pay.
guess we need clarification on the
I-
action.
Or the
Yeah,
recommendation to town council.
What does the contract say? If the contract says that they're responsible for non-district, and they're handing in stuff for stuff they're not responsible for, or however the contract is worded, then
Well, it's
We're not-
two contracts. And the issue is, do you want us to take this to council and request they do something with it? Or because from our perspective, we're not paying.
Right. Well, I guess, I think that I wasn't sure what you wanted direction on.
Well, the issue would be whether you wanted us to take it forward to the council, take it forward to the IG, take it forward to the auditor general, take it forward.
Hasn't it already been to the council?
Not these.
Not in a formal agenda pack, but you did send it out. Did you send those invoices out to the council?
I believe one of the council members got it.
Okay, well,
I mean, the issue of providing the actual cost information has been before both the town council and the board of supervisors on at least maybe 3 occasions
Correct.
each entity. And the issue has always been that the management company has maintained that this is something that the administrator of the district should be able to provide. And in turn, his position had been that the town council had agreed to the 160 per mile rate, which was never the case that we could find, based upon information. I understand there may have been an agreement that the water control district administrator made with the previous town manager, but from our standpoint, that gentleman did not have the authority to make that deal.
It's not in writing.
It's not in
I
writing.
haven't seen anything.
No.
no.
I think just for our protection, I don't know in this situation, you least should get involved in the discussion because Dawn is sitting on the other side. So I think it would be better you should in the discussion.
No, I haven't, other than
No,
to ask.
for this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had not planned on it.
Yeah.
What is
Oh.
it?
But there's not a conflict.
Right now, there's no,
Because if you endorse a payment to the organization, your husband is sitting on as a governing board, that could create some conflict, apparent conflict.
What is the total
Because I-
dollar amount we're looking at here?
Let me ask you this, look at bigger picture. We should pay them, number one, if they have delivered the service according to the contract. Okay? So that means if they send us a bill, they have already delivered to us, and then we have already paid. That's you're saying that we sent the invoice. So that means the invoices being sent the second time, those works will not perform because that were for
another.
the former billing. So that means you are the town manager, that you are responsible for monitoring to pay what we receive. So if we haven't received, we should not pay them. I mean, we have to rely on you guys. You're the one receiving the service, then receive. Just like for gym freshmen, receive. So receive. If we haven't received, we shouldn't
I
pay.
think the issue is if you went in and you attempted to rob a bank, you'd be charged with attempted robbery.
I see
Well,
I see what your concern, let me just voice this. I think what your concern is that it has the appearance of intentionally false billing. Is that the concern?
There's a perception that could be laid, that it appears as though something like that may have occurred. We caught that because that's what you pay us for. And so then the question is, do you want us to do anything with what we caught?
And let me say, the reason why I believe Mr. Underwood is asking the question is because if you look in your agenda packet on pages 96, 97, and 98, those are the 3 letters which basically transmitted packets like this. More than an inch thick, in which the management company had to expend additional hours to review and make these judgments.
So we have, the town management has spent a great deal of time, of our time that we pay you for in reviewing this, is what you're saying, additional time.
We're not coming after.
No, that's not what I'm saying, is that these invoices come to what, maybe 15, there's a duplication here and I haven't added them up.
I
Is
think
it less
it's
than
about-
15,000?
Something like that.
Okay, we're looking at less than 15,000 was suspected
Double good.
double billing, intentional double billing, which has taken a great deal of the town management's time. And I guess,
I think we have to be careful because people make mistakes, mistaken, may not be intentionally. It could be an honest mistake, it could be a deliberate attempt. I mean, before we draw a conclusion to, like Virginia said, that, I mean, I think we're making some assumption. You know, we work with the district for whenever, since we started as a town, I would suggest that.
Well, can we look at one of these as an example?
I understand that. I don't question their denial of the payment. I'm thinking that to do it more logically, and because we have to deal with the district for some more time until something is done to you know, change the entity structure. So we still have to work with that. It's my personal feeling that maybe we should consider reconcile this. Since you already spent time knowing which one had been double billed, we can prove it and find it. It may be that, what's that common? That woman maybe it's a clerical mistake. And then the administrator is has been under a lot of stress, that he is on the way out, negotiating the contract. Sometimes the administrator mind may not be there to monitor this. So I think we need to resolve it, to find out what's the reason first. If they admit, yeah, we made a mistake, then tell them not to do it anymore, because we spend time on it, rather than take it all the way to the IG, because we have to show that they intentionally doing us, because they are our reason. So I just think that now we have to help the district for them to transition into new management, administration, so even worse.
That's why we bring it to you for your guidance.
What do you feel?
If you, I mean, I don't.
What did they say? You made an interesting point. What is their comment then to the town management on these double invoices? Have they made any additional comments, or are they just waiting to see if you pay anything? Or are they expecting double payment?
I think the comments were, see if you agree, but I think the district administrator went on the offensive and attempted to basically persuade both the town council and his board that what we were asking for was, number one, unreasonable, and number two, that we weren't fulfilling or at least adhering to the agreement. Those would be the two issues, in which we in turn then had to defend ourselves. You know, Mr. Underwood wrote a letter, I had to go to the board of supervisors and explain the circumstances, and then you see the information we ended up providing to try to give them some guidance in how to meet actual costs, which it seemed to be which was their concern all along in terms of providing the appropriate documentation to get reimbursement. Would you?
I have not heard any other explanation. These invoices were submitted as work under the district ILA contract. They were not paid under the district ILA because they had reached the threshold. This was above and beyond
15.
the 150,000.
They have 150,000, so this is in excess of their threshold.
Excessive
This is not
threshold.
issue.
And the same invoices came back with new names on them, same invoice number, same date, new information. Now it's a district road. That's really why we submitted it, because we had these others that said it was a district road, now it's non-district road. Same invoice. There was even areas that I'm not an expert of forensic auditing, but it appeared as though there were items whited out and things rewritten.
Yeah, we have an example of that. It's pretty obvious.
You know,
But I don't know that there's been no harm because we have not paid.
well, we could have already had some harm in previous building. That if this thing happened now, it could have happened before.
I just assume not to look.
No, I know. But
Well, if you consider the 160, that's an
generally speaking, if we find some overbilling, double billing, we will usually go back a year or two more to see to make sure it didn't happen. But we did, because this is a practice. Like if we find somebody's stealing money, immediately we will take everything away for the last 2 years. We take it away so that whoever responsible for it won't make any more changes, so we will find it. And so in this case here, I think we have the right to stop payment. We have the right to give them a warning, don't do it again. And then we have the right to go back to check a few more bills. And then any overbilling, they have to pay us back. So, I mean, we are obligated to pay them for the deliverables.
But if this is in excess of the 100, that's what I'm not understanding. Even if we wanted to pay them, this is in excess of the 150,000, so
Under the one contract, you have the other non-district.
They moved the billing to another one.
okay, so my concern though is, even though they moved the billing, they exceeded their 150,000, and they're like, okay, well, we're gonna move the invoices to this other side. Well, if those invoices have been moved, should they really be on the other side? Are they trying to get paid for something they shouldn't be getting paid for?
That's why it's being denied by the management.
That's why they deny it.
Okay, I just want to confirm the flow of information, so that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's why we deny it. You can't, once you committed the invoice here, you can't come back tomorrow and say,
Oh, I meant it for even if it was an intention, I mean, if it was an intentional mistake, you could, but this does not seem to be an intentional mistake.
if it was a mistake, that would be one thing. But they're just a preponderance of
Okay.
documentation.
What's it? Well, he's gone, right? He's gone. So it's nobody for you to even sit down to discuss.
Okay.
But I think what Mr. Underwood is seeking is you're gonna make your report to town council, and
Well-
as a body, you probably need to take some position.
If this is
Recommend that.
if this is a double billing, we paid before, I don't think we should pay.
You didn't pay before.
I know, the invoice came before.
You didn't-
We paid those invoice before.
No.
They exceeded, they reached their 150,000, and then, so they couldn't collect under
They want-
150,000, so they tried to switch it to the other side.
They actually spent more like 160, 170,000.
What,
We paid the 150, and then they said, oh, well,
what they should have done is to come back to amend the contract, increase, I mean, if both board, the council and the supervisor agree, then we could make an amendment to the contract and pay them
Well,
180.
we couldn't agree more. That's what we indicated to both boards. If
Yeah.
the remedy is to amend the interlocal agreement, if you don't like the way it's currently written, but the way it's written, we had to do what we did.
I think the town management had an obligation to tell them whether or not we need to amend the budget, the contract, to increase it or stay with 150.
well, we got this so late in the game, so to speak. We got, what was the last one? What did I have on there?
September 8th.
But you did do that at one meeting, I reckon. Did you not do that at one meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, they did, I believe, at one meeting.
You refuse to pay.
And subsequent to, I mean, we've had meetings about amending the contract generally speaking.
How do you?
One of the issues in there was the district administrator in the 3 months, first 3 months, forgot to get our approval on some non-district roads.
And those were approved.
Yes, those were, and we took that to council.
Yeah, because that is like a change order, an amendment to the contract
And
that needs to
that was
be
done.
ratified by both boards. And then if you feel strongly that we have received the end product, that they did grade the road, put the material there,
I'm not going to take a position on that.
well then how you
Because I don't
going
feel strongly.
then how you going to make it, to convince yourself to pay?
Well, I would not make an argument to pay.
Then
That's my position.
okay. When they bring the dirt grader, do we have somebody to sign off on it to make sure they do it? I mean, just like you pour the concrete, inspector will come, oh, this is 4 inches, sign off.
I don't think so.
Do we don't do that?
No.
There was a case, I did on one occasion go out and try to verify if the roads were done, and I had some questions.
And I couldn't work.
And
That
this
just
has
depends on who they got to grade the road. I know there is an older gentleman that grades the road and does not do a good job. Because the blade is like this high off the ground and tipped just so, and it does nothing. The younger guy puts the blade straight to the thing, tips it like that, and goes, and they just graded North Road before I came.
And there's also if any bills go down the road as well.
Yeah, or G square, rather.
The one in question that we did check was, it was filled to be put on the road. It was advised that the fill was there. It was not.
Because I know when driving over, there were too many cars.
If they take it to court, if they have delivered the product and perform the work, we are obligated to pay them.
But there's no concrete proof.
Well, even,
No, I would
you know,
tend to,
in
I would tend to agree,
in
but
the law, I mean, in the court, we still have to pay.
Right.
Even they over-deliver, we have accepted it, they can prove their hours and the product, the material, we still obligated, we receive the product.
Even if they.
They overpay, yes.
Okay, so they had a contract for $150,000, and they knew they could not exceed $150,000. They agreed to
The judge,
$150,000.
as the lawyer, the judge will still
And
ask
then
you to pay.
they tried to put the invoices over to another
Okay,
contract.
that is wrong,
That
that
is
is wrong.
incorrect.
But if they don't put it on the contract, they put it in the same, if they exceed 150,000, they still have the right to claim the money. Because it's just like, it's an honest mistake that they have delivered the product, we have received it, we have enjoyed the benefit of using it.
But then why wouldn't they accept an amendment to the contract when it was
Well,
offered? It was offered.
Somebody make a mistake, make a few mistakes. I mean,
So your suggestion is?
my suggestion is to negotiate with them, to find out, make sure it doesn't happen again. If it does, then we may have, just like regular contract, that we see the contract, you know, there's no point to have a contract. I cannot trust you, just like I said, I don't even know when you deliver. I mean, if you said you deliver how many tons of material, I didn't even know whether you did it. I may get half of the quantity, half of the hours. So if I cannot trust that, then it put us, you know, at jeopardy that we are not receiving what we paid for. So in that case, we might be vulnerable to that too, because we never have somebody to inspect it. It's just like they deliver so many cases of stuff. If we don't check it, nobody sign off on the receipt, that means we are also liable. That we cannot prove that they delivered less, so we are also at risk.
I would agree, except, I mean, really, the 150 is just a subsidy, it's a grant to the district. I mean, that's really all it is. for them
But
to
they
maintain
still
it.
have to perform in order for us to pay them subsidy.
Well, and they did, and we paid them the subsidy.
So what do you want us to do?
I was looking for you.
What's the pressure of
I
the
mean,
group? Sorry, at least I don't want you to say something.
We can like, just report that this was the issue and there's no action necessary to the council.
But,
I mean, our thought, if you give it to me, I don't think the town wants to go where I would take it.
that means you say ignore the bill, don't pay.
Yeah, I think he would take it higher.
Yes.
You want to take it to state attorney or to take, is this, because this is a fraud?
It was an attempt.
They won't take your case.
I understand.
I think that in that case, it would make the relationship worse.
I understand.
Is it what you want?
No.
Is it what
That's
you
why I'm bringing it to you.
Well, I thought they wanted to do that.
Can we just, so I guess, what are our
Option.
options? Yes, what are our options? Can we say to them, I'll present one option.
Okay.
Let's all present some options. Can I suggest that we say, we're not gonna pay any of this, and we ask that you do your billing properly from this point forward? You received $150,000. We are upset that we understand it could be a mistake, there was a stressful time, but we declined to pay. This would be one option.
Option one, okay. Or option two.
Option two, you go to them and say, we're not gonna pay this, however, we could come to an agreement to extend this, to increase it a bit in the future, so that if more is needed, you know it's there.
In the future.
Right.
In future.
Don't pay this now, I mean, if it's an obvious attempt. having not seen the original stuff, not knowing the ILA agreement, I wouldn't know, even the basic ILA agreement, I would not begin to
Okay.
say, but that sounds like an option, say, look, if it's an honest mistake, it's an honest mistake. Hey, we all make mistakes, we're not perfect.
But there's
Let's
several
try to
examples.
negotiate, maybe an increase of 20, 25, 30,
Yeah,
whatever.
but actually, these two options are the same. Virginia's option is, this is it, no more pay. And then you said, we will pay them in the future, start a new agreement.
Start a new agreement.
So that means you're the same. The 150, we're going to stay with 150. And then any addition will be under new agreement.
And I'm basing it on the letters. My opinion is based on the letters, the communication.
What about the third?
Third would be you.
The
Yeah.
third will be to sit down and find out why, and then to warn them, and then bring it back to our board and their board to see if we could increase the contract amount.
The previous contract.
The 100, can we increase
For
the
last
100?
year,
It's last
I
year.
think it'll be too late for last year.
Oh, this is, okay, the contract already ends?
Yeah.
Okay, then there's a moot point now.
I think they need to understand the ILAs, in
What-
order to frame
Our
this
obligation, yeah.
discussion.
So, yeah, I agree. We need to, they have to understand the obligation, what they supposed to do for us, what we supposed to do for them in return.
Well,
So
I think there's a couple,
This board needs to.
I know the board, I mean the board, yeah.
there's a couple thoughts out there. I think what has happened is because I believe the district administrator, what he has done was, I think he has jaundiced the board against the contract. That actual costs could not be achieved. So that put the town management company in the position of showing and providing examples of how he could achieve that. And I believe that's what the majority of town council wanted to see. However, the district has taken the position, well, maybe the town ought to go out and do its RFP, and we'll take the position of being a proposer to that RFP, which we said, okay. Especially if you're going to take the position that you don't want to meet the actual cost. You have two options. We can amend the agreement, which I've said many times, and I think you said many times, or we just look, we look for another vendor and we would achieve that through an RFP. And one of the things we're looking at, because it's come up, as I said several times, is whether we have to stay with an actual cost type model or whether we can come up with a per mile cost. And we're exploring that right now. So,
And if this wasn't anybody else other than the district, this was another vendor that did this, and we had this agreement to do this work, how would you treat it?
I would pay them up to 150, and I know that they bill us, they shift the invoice around, and they bill us under another contract. I would fire them.
Okay.
That was a way of asking the question.
Yeah, if I know they intentionally did it to circumvent the building, I will fire them.
Okay. And so,
I'll give them back evaluation. If you're calling me about their performance, I said they are very dishonest. They manipulate the invoice, and I don't think we have the time to deal with this dishonest people.
Okay.
But
now that it's the district, so
but
back to now
I
that
have the
it's.
right, to do that, because be very careful. We cannot do it to employee because we get sued.
Okay.
You have a question too?
I was just wondering, when you're saying that, why would they need to, if they did the work, I understand, why would they need to modify the invoice? If they
Because
did
the
the work-
150
Wait,
grant
true,
is the
true,
cap, they
true,
can
wait,
pay up
that's
to.
not my question. My question is, if they did the work, they bought the stuff, and they did it. Now, the question is, they did more work, or about this, if they did more work, there should be an invoice for more work. They bought the bill, they bought
Yeah,
something.
they have.
So that means there wasn't another invoice. They're using the same invoice. Let me give you an example. If they did road A, they got an invoice for road A, okay, and they billed it. Now, just presenting the road A invoice over here, why? If you did the road B, there should be an invoice for road B.
They
for walk and everything else.
may not exceed
That means
150
they didn't buy it.
because they reuse the same invoice.
Yes, why is
So
this
they may not
necessary?
even meet the 150.
And these are
No, they met the
material
150.
bills.
They
That's
meet
what I'm
150.
saying.
They met the 150, but they met the 150 without that.
And then they use the old one to submit again on something else.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't pay them.
Okay.
We shouldn't pay them.
So I guess that is,
Sorry.
the,
John doesn't get it.
that is the consensus of the committee. Would we report
Because
that?
that was my understanding, that it was material bills, we were examples of materials that were previously billed, and they were trying to put it on another, is my
That will be
understanding.
their recommendation to the town council at the next meeting.
Well,
So-
we don't have a recommendation.
Is
No,
that
no,
the
no,
recommendation to the town council,
Oh,
is
yeah.
that we not move forward with any of these invoices?
I think we have to state the reason. They have already exceeded the cap, number one. Some of the invoices have been billed before. So that means the material under those invoices were not delivered to us for the benefit of the town. So they were fake, they were
Or not
mistaken,
used- Or not used properly.
not even used, because they used already, the invoice was not used properly, or, they double bill us. I think there's two reasons. It's very strong to deny their payment. And
Just one point though, Mr. Chair, I know where you're going, but, as Mr. Underwood indicated earlier, the 150 was almost treated like a subsidy. They can come in and do another $30,000 worth of work as long as they have the proper billing, because, we get requests all the time from people to come to grade their roads.
I understand that, but they still have to substantiate with the material and
Yes.
labor.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, agreed.
I think,
And we try to provide guidance in those areas, how to put it together.
I think it's because of the change in the management, administration, that maybe get them in trouble.
Okay.
People make mistakes.
Well, how about if we agree, we will do an audit on it to see if it really was a valid thing, if it can be done, and then if we find that it was a valid invoice, pay it.
They did already. That's what they say.
Yeah.
There's no proof, we can't prove.
They said their buildings have been submitted before. Really. That same invoices cannot then be subsequently submitted and attached as a longer,
Well, let me,
They reuse it, they recycle it.
were they
They did
submitted?
April, were they?
I was just thinking, for all intents and purposes, this incident happened. And we know that the administrator is no longer there, so it's sort of mitigated. So it's no point in bringing it up. I think it should bring it up to board of, oh, well, this thing happened, water management district, this thing happened, at town council, this thing happened. But knowing that the administrator is not there, the chances of that being continued or anything else will be less. Basically, it stops right here. So for looking at it, yeah, we basically will say, hey, shame on you, don't do that, and let everybody know this thing happened. And next time, don't do it. Since the administrator is no longer there, hopefully that it doesn't continue. And tell them, hey, we're gonna keep an eye on it. If otherwise, the administrator is responsible, no matter who did the mistake or whatever. If it's clerical or a mistake, the administrator is still responsible for it. Since the administrator is gone, then bring it to everybody's notice, don't let it happen again. Now, whether to pay it or not, I don't know, that is your decision. But I think, let's not build it up so much. I think the administrator is gone, it's not necessary. Beating a dead horse, so to speak.
So the recommendation by the FAAC is to advise the council that this occurred, it has not been paid, and your recommendation is to not pay.
No, you need to say that the invoices were submitted to us for payment before. They are using the old invoices,
Under a new contract.
put it for a new contract, which material and labor had not been delivered. So we shouldn't pay, because they reuse and recycle it. We have to say it, because they used the old invoices that have been paid, and we submitted it for payment. So that means the material and labor had not been performed, so we shouldn't pay them.
I just want to make sure I understand something here. These we're saying these invoices were paid before,
No.
but they were not
No,
paid
we're saying
before.
that they were submitted.
They were
attested
submitted, that
to
they
under
exceeded the
contract.
150,000, so they were not previously
They
paid.
were not paid, however,
They were
I understand your position is, now they've been submitted for work that was not done.
Right,
Because
Which, just a second,
that work was not done,
the work was not done.
the
not on the
same,
district roads,
Bill,
non-district.
you said that the same invoices cannot then be submitted.
There were 6 that were okay to pay.
Uh-huh. But am I correct that they are using the invoices that have been paid before and be submitted
No, they were
No.
submitted for payment.
for payment? But-
Once they capped out, once they reached their contract amount, we said, why
They
don't you
pulled
go
them out
for
of
an
them.
amendment?
Oh, okay.
That never happened.
They refused.
Oh,
I
so
don't
that
know
means,
that- I don't know that they refused.
so that means they deliver the material. They did grade the road.
Well, we don't, perhaps.
Well, I mean, based on your general practice, well, you believe they have done it, right? You cannot say they didn't do it because this is our normal practice to accept the job performance.
I'm assuming that it was done, the work was done, the rock was
The
ordered.
test we had to make sure that the work was done is, the way the process was set up. If you called in your road to be graded, we would turn around and we would notify the district, or vice versa, they can notify the district too. And then they scheduled it, we generated the proper paperwork, and then we would wait to hear from them. And when they told us it was done, we would mark it down and we were all set. Now, what we would expect is, if they didn't come out, you'd be calling again and saying, hey, my road wasn't done. And that was kind of the checks and balances we had. One of the problems we had was the administrator wanted to stop reporting that. And I said, you've got to let us know when you completed the work. Otherwise, I'm flying blind. Now I have no way of knowing.
How often do you
Work
have
done.
friend Shiola to go out to do some work?
That would not be appropriate.
No, I'm just questioning.
Nothing
Do
on
we have
that.
anybody going
He
out?
shouldn't be doing that.
I know.
That,
Do we have
we
anybody
would not
that
ask him to do that.
we could rely on to do the check?
Well, we send Mark out,
I went out a couple times.
send Braden out a couple times.
So I was wrong to say that they did not perform the work because Virginia took care of it.
No, they may
So-
very well have performed it. They just didn't perform it on the roads. They performed it on these roads, not these roads.
They didn't perform it on the roads they said the invoice was for.
And we are operating under the trust system that they even did that, is what's happening.
That's correct. They did not perform the work on the roads you
Not an
indicated.
easy issue.
But they have done the work in other
Somewhere.
roads.
We have
They're-
been
they're-
advised.
They're assuming, which is a bad thing.
I think that, you are as guilty too. Because you haven't checked it, and then now you're not sure. But that is a normal practice, general past practice that we accept their work on.
We had no
on face
reason,
value.
we had no reason
Not to
to have
believe
a
that.
question
I
until
know.
they got submitted.
So we
twice.
cannot use it as a reason not to pay. We cannot do that. I mean, we cannot say, we are not sure if they have delivered. We cannot use the argument
No,
because,
I'm not using that argument at all. I'm
So-
using the argument, they submitted it over here, you told me that's what it was for. Now you're submitting it over here and you're telling me that's what it's for. I don't believe either one of them at this point, because I don't know which one it is, if it's either.
And remember, the road rock issue is very tricky because if the work order says 4 loads, but if we got 2
it could be
loads,
3.
we don't know.
Yeah. There's something that we are at risk of
Yes.
somebody dishonest.
And remember, we're under the government-like concept, so, now
You
you
don't
have
have an
to,
inspector to
another,
send out
do
there.
I need another inspector to go out after every and make sure the work is done?
A lot of what government does is build on trust. Trust but verify occasionally.
I know that people build the sidewalk, it's supposed to be 4 inches, so on the side, they have 4 inches, but in the center, they curve it up.
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why when you pour the cement, mixed concrete, the inspector has to come and see how they actually pour. That's how we do it. So because every hours, every ton, it costs us money. Well, what's the pressure of the committee? Virginia?
I wouldn't pay. And kind of hearing from the public comment too, that previous management is gone, and I really think we need to call them on this, say, we're not comfortable paying this for several reasons. One, you did exceed your $150,000. There was a offer to amend the contract, but time went by and it was just never accomplished. It was on the table. The paperwork was not requested for the amendment. It didn't come through. It looks, we don't know if this was intentional or not, this transfer to another account, but let's not pay it. Let's say, let's not happen this again. We're not going to pursue any legal consequences and just get a fresh start.
How much they
But they've
offer?
already done that.
How much they,
You've already sent them a
how
letter
much in
to that
excess of
effect.
150?
To the district union?
How
Yeah.
much we
Didn't
owe?
you?
How much they?
Not, we don't owe them anything on the 100.
No, beyond 150, how much? On the other project?
It's about this,
About 15?
on this, it's about 15.
15?
We have not sent a letter.
Thank you.
Maybe we could split with them.
No,
You don't know the do that?
I'm not.
Okay.
I will do it at direction of somebody.
This is cleats and.
That's not my
You
recommendation.
don't want to pay? Virginia, you want to pay?
If we have questions about how it's been
You want
done,
to pay
if it's
that?
been done, no.
No, and
Because,
We'll send them
I am not comfortable with the intent of what happened here, and I think we give them a lot of trust of what they do. We do give them a lot of trust, and they were given time to put in their paperwork, whatever was needed to do an amendment. I realize things were chaotic there, but going with public input too, let's just call it even. Let's just let it go, start over, start the new year fresh, and just somehow let residents know, hey, if you requested work and you didn't get it, please call us. When they call in please let us know if you did not get the work.
Now, what's a reasonable time to allow them to get the stuff and get out to your property? I know if I called, it was a couple of days, which was, I figured, well, by the time maybe the guy wasn't working that day, or they usually try to grade the road when they're grading other roads so they don't have to waste gas going back and forth.
They
So
have
that
to
was-
wait for materials sometimes. I think that's a separate point, and that's
Well,
something.
no, but I mean, that's my thing. From now on, if you want the residents to know, give them, say, okay, give us, if you don't see your road graded within 48 hours, or you don't see the work being started within 48 hours, give us a call and we'll,
We were not having success with
Dispatch.
that concept with the prior administration.
moving forward with the new administration,
New
let's hope that
administration,
it's,
I'm sure that
and see if maybe the new administration and town council would be willing to agree to a slight increase.
I think that
not
is,
No, but it's just, this way they're planning, they're thinking ahead and expecting.
the water control district has an obligation to come back if they see that they are reaching the threshold, the cap. They should have done it and asked for an amendment. And they should not just come back and bill us and find out, oh, we are existing 150 and then try to put it on another one. They should have known it.
I think, I need to clarify here, because the 150,000, like Bill said, is a grant. It's 150,000 they're giving. The district sends invoices that are, up to the 150,000.
well, they submitted more than 150.
Right,
Yeah.
and they submitted more because they were not sure if all of them would be paid, or if all of them were eligible, okay? And that's why they submitted more invoices, because they wanted to make sure they had enough to get the 150,000. But it wasn't that they need more money, because they had the 150 in their budget, they knew they were gonna get it, and it's just a matter of processing the paperwork to get the money.
So by not paying them would not hurt them becoming a
I don't have that
deficit.
answer.
Okay. So you say no,
I say no, let's.
You say no?
start fresh.
then you don't vote, then even I say yes, still no, so I.
Public comment.
I think, just an observation, I think going forward, it will help to have the public do the checking. And if you let the word out and saying, hey, that will help the management, it will help the district also to say, hey, my road's is done, so I call in my roads, they were supposed to grade it and read it. And it will help because we don't want to call the office, be thinking, oh my God, we're giving them a problem. But if you let us know that we are basically your eyes and your check and balance, they will be more likely to call. I think we should let the word out to the public that, hey, you are the one that are auditing, you are the one that is checking. So if you don't do it, you could be overpaying or not done, and everybody loses them. So I think that message needs to go out, and it will help the management to know, hey, my road is not done, you got it
Can you
100%
put on
checked.
your web?
We also, well, if you go to the website, you go to, there's a little spot there that says, I want to, ... Click on that. There's a thing there explicitly for roads. It says, I want my road something.
Okay,
And it's a form you fill out and it comes into the manager. There's also, and I tested this the other day, if you want the notice, meeting notices, etc., there's a I want to, and you can click, I want to be notified of the FAAC meeting, I want to be notified of.
I get this.
yeah.
That's
I
great.
think you've done that, where they notify you, I want my roads done. I think you should always say, hey, but I need you to confirm your road is done.
I think
Because
there's a good suggestion.
that is something
You may
else.
want to even go further to say, maybe just comment from the general public, because I may not request to do my road, but I saw the road being graded yesterday. So I could go online with the encouragement from the council, from the
Yeah.
manager, that when I see it, I click, yes, I saw it on B road being graded, put
And
new
give you the
material.
date.
And put a date, then if we encourage people to do that,
Yes, yeah,
I may not be the one requesting for it,
yeah.
but I have seen it, so I will click, yes, very good, but a lot of dust.
It's easier for us if you go to the website, because we, number one,
Yeah, that's what I'm
is
saying.
tracks it,
Yeah.
puts it in writing, we got the date, time it happened, and we can track through and make sure everything is the way it should
So
be.
our recommendation is not to pay because he already exceed the $150,000.
Because they were submitted to duplicates.
Yeah.
Submitted, yeah, no, he's got it.
And,
But it's not
No.
it's not paid before. It's under the same grant that is originally cap, but they are using the same invoice for another one. So, okay.
There was sufficient information, there was sufficient backup to reach their 150, and then they tried to use the invoices
The excess, yeah.
in
The
another
150
manner.
is for district
Right.
roads. The other contract is for
No.
town roads.
Right.
Comrades.
Right.
Okay. Do we have a motion to support the town manager's recommendation or to pay them because they have exceeded the $150,000 cap for the district road?
I make the motion.
Okay, motion is made by Junior,
Now,
second by
I'll
Cheryl.
second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, saying aye? Aye.
That would be one
Opposed?
When we run out of
Okay,
town,
one
let's,
abstention. She abstained the vote.
One abstention.
Yeah, we get three,
3-1?
3-0.
3-0.
3-0, and then, and Elise abstained from the vote.
I abstain. Show them.
I don't know, I think Lauren's gonna have to,
That means you're gonna have to be there to present that.
Oh, she could present too. Okay,
That's why I just asked.
She could present too. I mean, she could present what we have said, right? Can you-
Well, you would be, if you're presenting, you'd just be presenting the motion.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't, yeah.
It's okay. Let's say you abstain from the vote, you can say it.
Mhm.
okay.
I think that's easy. And does she need to fill the form?
Well, see, that's why I said, I can fill out the form.
You do the form.
Do you have, where?
Yeah, there's a form, you can do the form, yeah, for,
We have a form in the office.
they form the abstain vote.
I think letting the public know to confirm, like you
I think
said,
that's a very
that's
good
a good
idea.
one. Everybody else, if I saw, oh yeah, I saw B road being done or A
Yeah.
road being done, it helps to confirm, it makes your job a lot easier, knowing, hey, somebody's looking out, you got a lot of eyes looking out for you.
Okay.
You can help if you get. We recommend you cancel the December 24th meeting. That's the next time on the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Oh, cancellation, it's already here.
He likes
So
that.
disappointed.
Don't
He was
smile.
looking
Christmas
forward,
Eve.
he was looking
I
forward
see your
to
pain.
everything.
There was a December 24th.
I know, it's disappointing.
That was Mark, wasn't it?
It was
Oh my
really.
God.
It would have been December 24th.
That's
the
Right.
typical-
Oh, I think we should have it.
We have a party. Come here for the party.
Maybe we'll get people to come to the meeting?
Yeah.
We have refreshments.
So you have to ask them to leave their Bacardi Silver here.
Yeah.
It's there, it's there. Look at it.
Well, then the staff will want to come have it.
They will want to come, yeah.
Okay, so we cancel the meeting for December. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Okay, I reluctantly agree to
And,
this is it. Well, we have a couple of things. Closing comments for the public. Phil, you have any comment?
No, just I think letting that out, to let the general public know, to be confirming all the work being done. I think
It's good.
should be a big part of it.
Committee members. So, any comment?
Good news.
Good meeting. Virginia?
It's a good meeting, and I look forward to a fresh start with the district.
Good. Elise?
Yeah, good meeting.
Don't be trouble.
We're early.
So we're not
Mr.
going
Mark,
over the,
any comment?
Mr. Chair and Board, I would just like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
same to you.
Mr. Bill?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You did receive your budget book this evening. It was much more in-depth detail. And we did have under including remarks administrator, we included in here a budget amendment that we took to the council already so that we could try to fix things. And I think we did that. But this book is for you.
Hopefully you're about excited about it as we are.
Thank you, it's already.
Thank you, I will enjoy
We
it.
did not include the Uniform Accounting System manual because you got it last year.
Okay, thank you. Denise, you have any comment?
Yes, I wanted to mention that when a resident calls in for grading, I do always tell them, please let me know, because I'm the one who does the orders. Please let me know if they have not done your road in a day or two.
What if they have done with the?
Normally they call me saying thank you for putting in the request, and I tell them like, hey, they just called to thank us, you know.
Isn't this going to RFP, the road thing? When will it go to RFP?
Well, we're researching a couple of things. We're trying to address this issue that the administrator brought up previously about the per mile cost as opposed to the actual cost. That's one of the things.
You're reimbursing that for the district's benefit or for
No, for
everybody's benefit?
everybody. Yeah.
Oh, whether you want it on a per mile cost.
Or
whether you want it
actual
on-
cost was. And right now, I think we've been talking about it, we're in the process of researching various documents. I think we're moving toward maybe a general services RFP, where instead of doing separate RFPs for like one for hedging and one for grading, where we do one that's general services for everything, very similar to what Indian Trail has done. I'm looking at some of their agreements to see if it fits and will work for us. Because we're also concurrently working on an RFP for engineering services for one, a general town engineering service, and then some specialty services that we could put vendors on a filling services contract. May never use them, but it might be nice to have a traffic engineering consultant, for example, in case something came up, whether it's with the college or, you name the project, and we would have our hired done, if you will, and only use them in those cases. But then also have our general town engineering as well. And that you have to comply with 287055, which is the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act. So that's something that we're going to be writing into the RFP. So we're actively working on that. But I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on. So hopefully before the end of the year, both RFPs will be out on the streets.
Well, thank you for having the time to save some money, and we look forward to another successful year. Thank you.
Well, we hope that it'll be at least as successful as the last year.
I'm sure we will. improvement. So are we sending out the newsletter and anything for the holiday?
We're trying to do it electronically.
Yeah, okay.
I think that the last discussion, there was a discussion, council, relative to paper, because we spent thousands. Literally.
Like 5, I think, right? Between
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah. And somebody said, that's a lot of money, and it is.
Something that I brought up at, during Frank Spence administration about having the newsletter is a good recap of the accomplishment of the management. That good,
That's what I use it for.
good basis for evaluation. So are you guys planning to have an evaluation done by the council sometime soon?
We need to talk about that because that's a functional issue. I mean, you could take the newsletter and make it a raw management report, and I don't think we want to do that totally. I mean, if that's the case, we'll do a management report.
It's reflective, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the newsletter ought to be maybe a little broader than that, you know. I mean, you could have a section in there if it's a two-sided or whatever, would be reporting on what, you know, town manager reporting on what has occurred during the month or something like that, but wouldn't want to give that a lot of fanfare, because I think we can do that through the website and announce what we're doing. So, I know town council in that discussion that Bill referred to talked about, well, maybe, see, the issue is, originally, it was in our contract on a monthly basis.
Correct.
And we don't know how it got in there, I don't know if anybody does, because
Well,
it
we
may have
did
been.
argue.
Yeah, whoever did the RFP may have been a little overzealous or maybe misunderstood the direction, because that doesn't seem to be what the direction is from council. The discussion the other night was that, well, maybe what we ought to do is 2 well-timed newsletters. Maybe one at budget time to go over talk about what's happening with the budget, and maybe one either to talk about accomplishments during the year and that kind of thing. So we're looking at that too. Maybe we will do 2 printed a year, and then the rest, some version of a computerized type, you know, 1 or 2 page newsletter.
Do you guys plan to come up with like an annual report? What you have?
Well, we did that
Do I know
in
what-
June.
Yeah?
We did that in June. And I think by contract, we provide
What you have done?
Yeah.
a review every June.
Yeah, again, the way the contract was structured, it was supposed to be like pretty much a one end report for the year, if you will, or almost for the year. But you may remember, we ended up doing like 2 reports, interim reports. We did one early in January, which was an assessment of what we found, and we reported on all the issues. We did a PowerPoint for town council. And then when we were talking about the contract and the issues with the workload because of assuming the planning and zoning function, that was like a second report that we provided. So in June, what I did was, when I approached council, I did do an agenda report which addressed, in general terms, how we were meeting all aspects of the contract, and I also reminded town council that we had done these 2 previous reports, which gave them a lot of information in terms of what had happened during the year. Now, next year, I think we would resort to, unless circumstances dictate otherwise, the report like it's envisioned in the contract.
What about your evaluation for your performance?
I had asked that question as well, if there was an evaluation of the manager as management, you know, for the manager as a management contract, and there never was anything. My understanding was, in talking to the town attorney, I think at the time they were going to do Mr. Spence, they had decided they didn't want to do that, I think because of some of the issues, and so they pulled back on that. And up to this point, there has never really been an individual valuation of the town manager. Now, if they want to do that, I certainly welcome that. Not a problem at all if they want to do that, but what we'll have to do is we'll have to decide on what kind of format that they want to use, because that's really the difficult part of it. They have to decide, are they going to do one of those attribute type reviews?
This
Or,
one or that one.
yeah, so
Fill in
that's,
the blank, do an
and there's some
essay.
pre-planning involved with that. They're going to have to, if the council wants to do that, they're going to have to decide.
Do you feel comfortable as is right now, not having something formalized? You know,
My view is we get formal review every day, every week. Because there's feedback. You have meetings with council on a regular basis, and we get meetings from citizens, and we meet with you, and we meet with the other groups. We get feedback a lot. So whether it's in writing,
what about according to the contract, what does the contract say?
the contract just said that it would be an agreed upon process.
Okay.
I mean, there was no form attached that said, we're gonna test you on this attribute and that one and this one and the other one.
The way it's written, it talks about evaluating the management company against a contract as opposed to evaluating the management company.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, that's
So
the,
you take A through Z, you go yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You did it, you didn't do it. And we've already admitted to the things we don't do.
in fact, I was very candid with the council that I believe it's the contract calls for the agenda to be out on Wednesdays, and we were not making that. We were getting them out on Thursdays. However, I did tell the council, I did believe that we also increased not only the quality, but the quantity of what they were getting in terms of the agenda items, and I think they agreed to that because they really didn't have a problem. Other than, we try to get it out as soon as we can, but if you compare agendas from the previous year and what was produced by town management versus what we give them now, in fact, I kind of indicated one day when there was a citizen who got up and I think unfairly criticized us, and I said, I banged my hand on the counter, and I said, we will make sure that we give you the who, what, where, when, and why of each issue, and that's what we have been doing, that's what we will be continuing to do.
I think that,
So that was the,
comparing to the original inception of this committee to now, I think we have come a long way. You need to have to speak on that behalf because you always have question, problem with the mistake that under Frank's administration, the financial reports are either wrong or incomplete, or I don't think they really care. That's my.
Well, we care.
Well, you do. I already say that because
And I think our agendas are too big.
Well, and you do, if there is a typo, or if there's something, as in tonight, we are immediately emailed, and it's brought in. It's,
Not only that, it's already, if you go on the webpage, it's, as soon
It's already
as Mark
fixed.
told me it's already fixed,
I
first
think
thing in the morning.
it's important that the substance, not a typo. A lot of time, they gave us something inaccurate, delay, and then we also got into a debate,
We are
wasn't-
transparent.
which wasn't-
We can try to be more transparent.
which wasn't the intent of this committee. This committee was set up to assist the town, but not to debate on items.
We're not.
But we appreciate it. I think that we are very happy, at least from the committee standpoint. We're happy with the management, and then
Yes, and the time and quality of it.
I would add one thing, I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier. We did have a discussion about your vacancy. And I did ask the mayor, I reminded the mayor it was his appointment. And, he's basically asked us again, we have been doing it, we have had a notice up. We're gonna put another notice on the website.
Oh
But I kind of-
I'm guilty on that one, but I'll promise I'll get it within 2 days.
Well,
In any event, I urged the mayor, I said the committee has been asking, to get that vacancy filled. They've been going a long time now with it, and he assured me that he's gonna try to move on that, so.
I think this committee has been functioning at least very well.
I appreciate it, Jared. I know that you may think that it's nitpicky, but, when you find those things, it's good. Because, the more eyes that look at it, the better. Where we can put it where it needs to go.
And we appreciate, this year we have the unexpected flood that I think the town has been working with.
I do have a question. We talked before about attending some courses that might come up, and we discussed it last week, I think 2 meetings ago. My question was, is there a way to make a general approval, get approval from the town council that, in advance, if there's courses come up, they can go, and then you can just ask the town, submit it to the town council? Or do we have to wait till the event actually happens and then request it? Because I noticed you were able to ask them if they'd like to go to an event.
Well, here's my recommendation, and Bill, you can jump in after I'm done. I think there is a wonderful opportunity that's put on by the Florida League of Cities that would be very good for all of you every year, and it's called the School of Finance. I think they just had it recently this month, yeah. It runs every November. But it's like a 5-day training, and they cover a tremendous amount of subjects as it relates to governmental, accounting, finance, and a lot of associated items that do have some interface. And I would think if, you know, maybe at our next meeting, if you want to, you know, talk about that as an agenda item, let's get it plugged into the budget. Let's get the council ahead of time. Instead of asking them 2 or 3 months before it's scheduled, let's get it cemented in the budget, programmed in, and then, you know, and then we can take care of all the, you know, it'd be just, you know, taking care of all the expenditures for you as it relates to that
Good idea.
travel.
And where did that take place recently?
I think the last one was Tampa.
Tampa or St. Pete.
Yeah, I know,
So
2
you
years
have-
ago was St. Pete, last year I think it was up in like the north, on the.
Jacksonville.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to, it'd be a week-long thing that you have to go to.
It's
a
5
lot of the
days,
time.
I've attended one, they're
Okay.
very, very good. I recommend them highly. Folks like Bill get a lot of credits when they go.
Well, there's CPE credits involved, huh?
And also, Bill, so we have some of the free seminar that we could go, like Wednesday, one in GFOA, get the hours.
How
You
would
get,
we
you
get a
get
list
courses
of
on
that?
budgeting, forensic accounting, I mean, you name it, there's a heck of a menu of things to attend.
Well, how would we get a list of that information in advance?
Can you
From
post
them.
it on the website?
If you want, what I could do is I could pull the November, this year's and show you what's, what was, I mean, they usually list all the courses and.
www.fgfoa.org.
FGFA?
FGFOA, Florida Government Finance Officers Association.
In fact, a little tip for you, if you, in about another month,
F1?
if
FGFOA.
you check that website, all the papers and the materials, PowerPoints, whatever, prepared will be online. You can actually tap into those even though you haven't been there.
Oh, little freebie for us.
Yeah, but you don't get CPE for that.
You gotta have your printer stocked up though, there'll be a lot of paper, you know, something's gonna go large.
Okay, just want to say thank you to Bill and Hal and Denise for another successful year. Thank you for
Thank
helping.
you.
For adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, we need a motion.
I'll do it.
I'll second.
Cheryl, make the motion and second by Liz. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Those in
Who
favor.
would be opposed?
I don't know, Bob, they want to stay longer.
Oh yeah, we gotta get another half hour in here.
We tried to stretch it as long as we could, Mark.
Turn over.